If you clicked on this video, then you're probably just like me and you got to experience one of the best movie franchises at its peak. And the franchise I'm talking about would be none other than the Transformers movie franchise. Now, I recently decided to kick back, relax, and watch Transformers 2007 all the way up to the currently released Transformers Rise of the Beast. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it low-key was hitting. To this day, I feel like no movie's fucking with the CGI in these movies, specifically Transformers 2007 and Dark of the Moon. And I ain't gonna lie to you, while I was watching these movies, I low-key did start to notice a bunch of different stuff I never noticed as a kid. Now, I don't know if this is because I'm an adult now, or if it's because I finally have brain cells to really understand what I'm seeing as compared to when I was a kid. But these movies were definitely not the same movies I remember watching as a kid. Now, I'm not talking about the visuals or anything like that, because the overall visuals of almost all of these movies are definitely still stunning to this day, so it has nothing to do with any of that. But like I was saying, I definitely did start to notice a lot of things I really wasn't grasping as a kid. Like a perfect example of that would be the fact that I felt like a lot of these movies were overly horny for no fucking reason. Like, what was the point of having a robot humping Megan Fox's leg? Like, where at as a director do you sit back and be like, oh yeah, everybody totally wants to see a robot fucking somebody's leg? And then we get to Optimus Prime. Dude was literally not a hero. Bro was pulling people's spinal cords out, decapitating people, punching whole chunks out of people. I literally watched this dude take a staff, bend the staff up, and rip the Fallen's face off. Like, if you really go back and rewatch all of these movies like I just did, you would literally notice the fact that Optimus kills every single one of his villains. Nobody survived. Like, it ain't like he putting any of his villains down, like shooting them in the head or even stabbing them and they died. Dude is literally ripping their faces off, cutting heads off. I really watched him jump on top of Grindor and say you will waste a metal and rip the dude's face apart. There was no reason you had to slime him out like that. But I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting off topic and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. The biggest thing I feel like I noticed when I was rewatching all these movies, and I feel like it hit me when I was watching Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. So I'm sitting back relaxing watching the part of the movie where Galvatron wants to use the seed to destroy a whole entire city so he can create a whole new army of Decepticons. And then of course he ends up getting sidelined because Lockdown pulls back up the earth to squabble with Optimus. And it was in that very moment that I was thinking to myself, didn't I just watch this? So now I'm over here thinking about Dark of the Moon, where we have Megatron over here who wants to destroy the human race but rebuild Cybertron using the pillars. And then we also have Sentinel Prime who sidelined Megatron as the villain, but then isn't that not the same exact thing that happened in Revenge? I know I'm not tripping right now. In Revenge of the Fallen, Megatron gets sidelined once again. The real main villain is the Fallen, and the Fallen wants to use the Harvester to blow up the sun, therefore killing mankind once again. And it was at that exact moment that I just realized I watched the same exact movie multiple times, and I'm finna prove it to you. Now, I will be keeping track of all the similarities on the side of the screen so y'all can see that all of these movies are indeed the same exact movie. Starting with the first movie in the franchise, Transformers 2007. Now, we're introduced at the very beginning of the movie to the Allspark, and pretty much the whole purpose of the Allspark within this movie is Megatron is awoken to then want to use the Allspark to create a whole new Decepticon army that'll not only destroy mankind, but it'll also help him rebuild Cybertron as well as his new Decepticon army. When it comes to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, we are yet again introduced to another Cybertronian artifact called the Matrix of Leadership, and this time around we not only have one Decepticon rise up, but we actually have two, and this is also where that new trend of Megatron gets sidelined like a little hoe begins. Now, the Fallen and Megatron's whole goal was to use the Matrix of Leadership to power up the Harvester, which would not only destroy the sun, but it would create Energon to rebuild Cybertron and also destroy mankind in the process. And then we get the Transformers Dark of the Moon, where yet again we're introduced to yet another Cybertronian artifact called the Pillars. And of course, in typical Transformers fashion, we get Megatron sidelined. The new villain has to be awoken, aka Sentinel Prime. And the whole goal was for Sentinel to bring Cybertron to Earth to then use mankind to rebuild it, aka killing mankind while rebuilding Cybertron in the process. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's almost like this movie was literally Revenge of the Fallen but better. It's almost like Michael Bay really listened to all the critics when it came to Revenge of the Fallen and straight up just said hold my beer and gave us a DLC pack to Revenge of the Fallen. Now when it comes to Transformers Age of Extinction, we end up running into yet another ancient artifact. Like, I really don't know what's going on with these artifacts. We had the sea, and then of course we end up having a villain that ends up rising, aka Galvatron, which which is literally just Megatron. I to this day do not understand why they try to name him Galvatron, but it really don't matter because he ends up getting sidelined by Lockdown anyways. Galvatron's whole goal is to detonate the seed in the biggest city so he can create a whole new Decepticon army. And at this point, you're probably seeing exactly what I've been talking about, because when it comes to Transformers: we have yet another Cybertronian artifact, aka Merlin's staff. And of course, in typical Transformers fashion, we have Megatron being sidelined. It's almost like Vegeta at this point, bro. It's just not built to win. And of course, we had the main villain, Quintessa, which is one of the stupidest Transformers movie villains I've ever seen. And her whole main purpose is to use Merlin's staff to destroy Earth once again and rebuild Cybertron once again. Like, I'm so sick of this shit at this point. But we can't stop there. We have Transformers Rise of the Beast, which is the newest entry in the Transformers franchise, completely directed by somebody different, not Michael Bay. But somehow we end up with the same exact movie. Ancient artifact, the transwarp key. And then there's a whole plot hole in this movie that I still have yet to are the Maximals from present day, the past, the future? Like, it never was explained. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. We have the transwarp key, another ancient Cybertronian artifact. I repeat, another ancient Cybertronian artifact. This is not directed by Michael Bay at all. This has nothing to do. As a matter of fact, this is technically a reboot. And we didn't include Bumblebee because I really just, that's its own thing. But this is technically a sequel to Bumblebee. But they never clarified that this was actually a prequel or a sequel or a continuation or just something set in a whole nother timeline because they're terrified to do something. I don't even know at this point. All I know is this is a separate movie directed by a separate director. But it's somehow the same exact movie as all the other movies we just watched. The only thing I can say about this movie is Megatron's not in it to be sidelined, because we do have a new villain, aka Scourge, aka Ultron with a weird mask on his face. Anyways, he also ends up getting sidelined by Unicron, so it really don't matter at the end of the day. I'm not finna go over this one because it's essentially the same exact movie as the last ones we just talked about, and that's my whole point. All of these movies are literally the same exact movie. Now, I'm not saying any of these movies aren't good, because the first three are personally goated for me. I'm just pointing this out because I do feel like this is the biggest reason why the Transformers franchise ended up taking a big fall. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't new things in any of these movies, because let's face it, a lot of these were dressed up to look like new movies, aka Sentinel Prime turning on the Autobots and becoming a villain. A perfect example would be somebody like Lockdown, who worked for somebody higher than just the regular Decepticons. Even with him, it still was the same exact movie, just dressed up to look different. It's almost like ordering multiple different pizzas with multiple different toppings on them. It don't matter if you got different toppings on different pizzas. At the end of the day, it's still going to consist of cheese, sauce, and dough. And that's really my biggest point with this video altogether. I feel like if they changed up the plot and really focused on the story, we would end up with a really solid Transformers movie, almost like Transformers 1 and Bumblebee. I feel like they had the heart, but they didn't have that wow factor that the Michael Bay movies do. So if we took that heart and we took the wow factor and we put them both together in a blender, we would probably get the best Transformers movie in the franchise. Hey, yeah, man, y'all let me know down in the comments if I'm tripping or not, or is all these Transformers movies the same to you as well? And if you are new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you did like the video at any point in time, smash that like button because it really helps out the video as well as the channel. With that being said, until then, I'm out. Stay tuned.